Well, this is Gasok Keperu for Project Illuminated on this very windy day. And yeah, it's kind of sunny, but very, very windy, you know. But it's all good, it's all good. So what I wanted to talk to you today about is how to change behavior, right? So modern psychology is based on the Sigmund Freud approach where you lie on the couch, the psychologist talks to you, but basically is giving you guidance on working through your problems, so in hopes that you'll come to this epiphany and understand where the root of your problems come from, whether it be childhood, whether it be an early relationship trauma. But the idea again is to not for the psychologist to give you any advice per se, but to help you reach a conclusion on your own as to where is the origin of your problems. And this is coming out of the Greek and Roman approach of oratory discourse, meaning that they really based a lot of their society on the philosophy that if you can talk through things, if you can debate things, if you can have this verbal discourse, you can arrive at the truth of a premise. But we know that's simply not true, because what we understand is that, you know, because you may come to an understanding of a problem doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make this radical change in your life and that it's going to affect how your behavior is, because we know words don't change behavior. You understand? And the mere fact that you understand where a problem lies doesn't mean that you can necessarily make the change necessary. And this is evident in our world around us, where we see that we have people who are addicted to drugs, they're addicted to smoking, alcohol, and we know with the inundation of public service announcements and messages that tell you how bad these things are, that people still continue to do so, and their lives are pretty much a wreck. This is why modern psychology fails at a very fundamental level, because it's not getting to the root of the problem. Do you understand? I can tell you that your problem comes from an early childhood traumatic experience, but that doesn't mean that because you now are enlightened to where it comes from, that you're going to go through life now better. This is why we look at the African perspective, and most cultures of indigenous people have really focused on things like trans-seduction, or what we call today is in modern terms hypnotherapy or hypnosis. This is where you're actually able to tap into the subconscious mind, which is where your problems are rooted in, and we're able to flush those things out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because when people have a traumatic experience, it affects their spirit, what we call the subconscious mind, and it's embedded in their spirit. This is why you have to protect your subconscious or your spirit, because if something becomes too traumatic, it then bypasses or goes past the conscious mind to the subconscious mind and gets rooted in there. It's very difficult to get it out or to work that out. So, you know, the thing is this was symbolized by the female principle, because a lot of the things that we do in life are caused by the subconscious mind, and the subconscious influence is very, very subtle. You know, depression is not an overt thing. It can be a very subtle thing. It can creep up on you, and then affect every aspect of your life, and you're wondering, well, why am I not motivated to do certain things? I wish things in life were very overt and obvious and in your face, but sometimes they cannot be. And we've noticed in ancient times that a lot of the things that affect us were symbolized by the serpent, because the serpent is very stealthy. You know, it has this cumulative effect upon you. You know, it comes at you very, very, very slowly, but then when it hits you, it stings and it can hurt. So I want you to think about that. So we have to get out of this idea that just because, you know, we are talking about our problems, maybe in a group setting, maybe through a therapist, that is actually going to help solve the problem, because it's not. We have to look at other alternative therapies such as trance induction, meditation, to really get to the root of these problems. And I'm going to prescribe something here that I think will really help for those who are going through some difficulties and challenges, in that we tend to focus on the problem. We tend to focus on the issue, and we're not looking at the positive things that have come to us. So, and what happens is that you build a pattern. The subconscious mind is very, very behavioral oriented, meaning that once you start doing something, it has this cascading effect of it keeps going, it's cumulative, And this is where a lot of the mind control and programming comes from, especially in modern media, because they know that they can't influence you in one impactful way, so they bombard you over a course of time with the same message, and they know that the more that this message happens and the more it's repeated, it builds a type of pattern of behavior within you. So I want you, and especially again with the media, because it's very fear-based. It really hits you with a lot of fearful things about, oh, this massacre, this plane crash, this food is bad for you. And they keep reinforcing that, because what they're slowly doing is trying to move you away from something towards something else, which is a product or service they want to sell you. So, and before you know it, you have created this type of behavior, and this behavior then translates into a type of culture. So let's look at the fact that, okay, you may be dealing with a challenge in your life. Well, how do we overcome that challenge? Well, we could talk through the problem. And again, we see this in many churches where you have the sermons and the preacher is a good orator and he's talking about all this. But if you go back and you really look at, especially like in the Southern Baptist churches or the black churches, you'll see that they really work on motivating you and getting the congregation to get up and dance and sing. And that comes out of the African tradition or the Egyptian tradition of the rituals, where the rituals were a way to not just rely on the words, but to tap into the subconscious, which is motivated by emotions, which is motivated by music. And if you really go back to ancient times, look at the language that was used, it was based on tonality. Today, the bastardized English language is devoid of any harmonic frequencies or tones which cause a vibration in your spirit. And that will, in and of itself, cause a change within you, because vibration is very important. Frequency is important. But our English language doesn't have those things. In other words, like when a person was given a name, that name had a vibrational frequency which helped them to realize their destiny and where they were going in life, So because that is now missing from our language, we have to rely on music and dance to tap into that subconscious mind and to motivate the spirit to make a change in behavior, which is why most of the churches today that give the sermons, it's devoid of anything that could really change the people. Hence is why these religions are a monumental failure in what they're doing, because they're saying, well, in this verse and in this scripture it says to do this, so automatically you're supposed to live by that, even though we know that the motivation comes from the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is very powerful in controlling the conscious mind and controlling your actions. So I may read a scripture and know, oh, I'm supposed to act this way, but then I'll go and be contrary to that. This is why you have people who are very spiritual on Sunday, and the rest of the week they engage in all kinds of nefarious behavior. Think about that. So, you're dealing with a challenge, and the more you focus on that challenge, the more you focus on that issue, it builds a pattern of negativity in your thinking process. So what I want you to do is that when you're faced with that challenge and you seem to be dwelling on it, I want you to start thinking about positive things in your life. Counteract that. Anything positive that excites you, that really gets you going. Keep thinking about that. And every time the issue comes up, if you have bills, if you're having problems with a relationship, if you have problems at work, you're going to have to address those. So I'm not saying to ignore those, but what I'm trying to tell you is that you're going to have to counteract those with a positive thought, so that you don't build this tunnel of negativity to where it starts to become a pattern and a behavior. You don't want that happening, because we call this the ecosystem, the ecology. Because what happens is that if you're really focus on issues and challenges, it's going to build within you a type of philosophy, a type of outlook and perspective on life, and that hence is going to control your behavior. I mean, if I think, like, for example, if I go, if you go to Starbucks and get a cup of coffee and the person's rude to you, if you have that happen again, you're going to start to build a philosophy and a perspective where, hey, you know what? People are just rude in general, and you don't want that to happen. So counteract that by saying, hey, this person may have been rude, but in general, I know that people are good. People are nice. And keep that rolling. Now, the next thing you want to do is look for evidence of that in your daily life. Magnify that. If I'm saying, well, you know what? I've dealt with this person, and she was pretty nice to me today. Now magnify that. You know what I'm saying? Saying, wow, people are really good. People are great. And the more you do that, the more you build the pattern of positivity, the more you will entrench that in your subconscious mind, and it's going to build a really nice behavior where you're seeing the positive things in life. And here's the real icing on the cake. When you start to see things in a positive light, your frequency changes, your vibration changes to where you now change and alter the world around you, because we know that when you focus on something, you are a reality generator. You create the reality around you. You create the world around you, and you vibrationally shift to an alternate world to your liking of where things work out for you. Things just fall in place. So I want you to try that technique. It's going to work out wonderfully, all right? And give me some feedback. Email me and let me know how it worked out for you. This is Kasank Keperu for Project Illuminated, and that's all for now.